Hi, I'm Human Program, and today I want to talk about how to set up a freeze delay on the Elektron Syntakt. What you're seeing is a demo of a way to use the effects block to make cueable freeze delays as performance effects on the Syntakt. First off, I'll note that I'm playing the sequencer as I explain in another video by turning down the trig probability and then auditioning individual effects by pressing down on the trig and hitting yes. The trig at number 1 always fires, so when the sequence gets back to the beginning, it will turn off any effects that I've added. I'm planning to do a couple more videos on different sorts of effects here. So for freeze delay, we'll talk just for a second about delay itself. On the delay in the Syntakt, you have time. You have time that on the encoder will let you dial in different amounts, and then in between 24.0 and 2399 and 24, it lets you know that that's a dotted eighth note. And this goes all the way up to a whole measure. Now, the feedback is what allows, if you turn the feedback down, it fades out quite quickly. But if you turn it up to between 90 and 100, your signal will slowly fade out in time. Let me not forget to turn that off. And so if we go into the effects block, the same is true. It's all the signals that are routed here into the effects block basically have an up to 1 measure long sample buffer, basically, so that you can hold a half of a measure for up to, or for as long as you want, and play it back. So that sounds like this. And it can keep going and going. This will reset because it hits this reset trigger. But so all you have to do first is to set up the timing of the delay that you want. And you might have noticed that if you just turn on a really high delay, it will keep going and feeding more of the track as it's going into your pool. So the solution here to make it a freeze delay rather than just a normal delay, and what gives it a lot of its usefulness here, is that you can turn off the amp and then use an LFO with a square wave to send a blast of signal the size of your buffer. You can use shorter than your buffer or longer as well, and then use a single cycle of that LFO so that it then holds for the amount of time that you want for different triggers. The part that I've done some trial and error on, and that I'll post in a little chart down below in the description and also frame in a moment, is finding the right amount of time for the LFO to go to correspond to a whole note, half note, dotted quarter, quarter, dotted eighth, eighth, dotted 16th, and crazy. So now we have a freeze delay that can use up to one full measure of our track as a kind of sample buffer, and it also samples itself, which can lead to some pretty cool things. What I find especially exciting about that is we've made some parameter locks here, but there are a lot more parameters. First, and sort of most obviously, there are parameters in the delay. You could, for instance, make EasyBot's Daft Punk effect by turning on the ping pong. And then where the real power comes in is with having a whole other LFO to work on. So you could, for instance, use an LFO to turn up the delay for a reverse delay effect tuned to your liking. With the track that I made and will demo at the end of this video, I wanted to kind of sample some vinyl type effects. So what I did was in these, I ducked the amp with one LFO, and then with the second, I made it a little noisy by adding some noise rate filter frequency modulation. And it's not a record without record scratching. So for these 4 triggers, what I've done is added a delay time modulation that gives a little bit of a record scratch. If you have ideas about how to make better record scratches, you can't go in reverse, obviously, but you can go up and down in pitch and play with that. And then those can also be combined, as I'll show in the demo in a moment. The last thing I'll note is that you also have, with this very last speed of the filter, you have a quick enough modulation that you can get into some Karplus-Strong-type effects and use that however you like. So I think that'll do it for this video. I'll play my jam of this track so you can see this effect and its abuse in action. And thanks a lot for watching.